Hi, I'm Katie Davis. You're about to watch a replay of a critique workshop, something that I do all the time, in fact, for 10 people every month in the Writer's Block membership. It's a virtual community. It's like a private clubhouse, a place where you learn the writing how-tos, you get inspiration and support, and you get publishing instruction and experts' knowledge, not just mine, but I also interview other experts. And you get an opportunity twice a month to go into a drawing to have your work critiqued in a workshop like you're about to see. You also get an annotated critique from me, so you can look at the notes and you can ponder it and you can decide whether or not to take the suggestions. Right now, we also have the Facebook group, private Facebook group, a guest expert Q&A, live community sessions I call the Writer's Playground, where we talk about all different kinds of things. That's live also. So check it out at katiedavis.com/writersblock, and I hope I see you in the neighborhood.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this free critique workshop. Say that 3 times fast. I'm so happy to have you. I'm Katie Davis. I don't know if you have met me before. You may or may not know who I am. I'm a writer, an author, have a bunch of stuff published from traditional publishers, Simon & Schuster, Harcourt, or it used to be Harcourt, now it's HMH, a bunch of places like that. And I also have self-published a few books for writers, so guides for writers. So I've done this before a couple hundred times, and I really love seeing stories grow from, either first draft or early draft to much stronger drafts. And everybody has the weak early drafts, don't worry. So today, though, we are going to do something that I do twice a month with my group, the Writer's Block. And we do have quite a few people here who are members. I'm very excited to see them here too. And they know very well that it takes a lot of bravery and trust to submit your manuscript for critique, whether it's going to be public or not. I imagine public would be even harder. So I'm very impressed with everybody who put their manuscript through, put their name in the raffle copter, in the raffle thing, the drawing. And and thank you for trusting me, because I take it very seriously. I will warn you, I am honest, and I'm going to say what I think and what I recommend. Having said that, I'm just one opinion. Okay. I've got street cred, but it's just one person. So if you don't like what I say, you don't have to take it. Right. Now, for those of you who are not being critiqued here, I would say listen and learn from what I say to other people, because there are many things that people did that I see frequently. So it is a very good chance that you will see what somebody else did and hear what I have to say, and you may be able to apply it to your own manuscript. Okay. So having said all of that, that's my new phrase. I'm saying it all the time now. Having said that, all right. So as I said, we do this twice a month in my membership called the Writer's Block. And I also know about the bravery of those guys too. I'm going to tell you more about the Writer's Block later. I've got a special charter membership deal going right now, just for a few more days. At the end of tonight, you'll see if you like what's going on here. Maybe you'll be interested, and I'll let you know all about that at the end. But right now, one thing I want to tell you before we really get going about writing and why I go nitpicky so much. And that's because choosing the specific word for the specific moment or story is so important. And I'm always trying to explain why that's so important within the example of the submission. But the other day or night or whatever, my husband and I were watching Up in the Air. Remember that George Clooney movie with Vera Farmiga? And if you haven't seen it, I'm just going to tell you a little bit, because there was something in there that has been echoing in my brain for a week since we watched the movie again. And that is, I'll just give you a little background in case you haven't seen it. So this guy, Ryan, works for a career transition counseling, they call it. Basically, he's hired to fire people so that the company doesn't have to fire, right? So he's flying all around the United States, and he's on the road almost every day of the year, and he loves his job and he's into it. And then he starts having this romance with this woman who's played by Vera Farmiga. And he basically, they meet up wherever they can meet up, right? And on the road, because she's also a road warrior like he is. So long story short, I won't even go into all the other stuff, but basically he realizes he's falling in love with her. And he has this whole PowerPoint talk about carrying your backpack and sticking all your stuff in it. And basically he's in love with having no responsibility, but now he's starting to like this woman, right? So she says to him, like, she likes it free and easy, right? So one day he decides, I'm just going to show up at her apartment, and I'm so excited about this. It's the first time he's ever connected like this. So he goes, lands in her city, swiftly drives off to her apartment, and goes, rings the doorbell, and she answers the door, and she's like, what the heck are you doing here? And he's like, I was in the neighborhood, like joking. And then he hears kids screaming and playing, and her husband saying, honey, who's that? And his face just drops. And she's like, what do you grow up. I'm an adult, grow up. This is an adult relationship, or something like this. So the line that I want to tell you about that's been ringing in my ear is that as she's shutting the door in his disappointed face, her husband, from behind the door, you hear him say, who was there? And she says, she doesn't say, oh, just some guy, or wrong house, or, someone's looking for directions. She says, to be exact, oh, it's someone who is lost. And not just someone who's lost, not who's lost, someone who is lost. And it goes to the so it says so much about her character and his character, and his metaphorically being lost and emotionally lost, and all that, and those kinds of little word choices, those 5 words, someone who is lost. It blew me away. And that's the kind of thing, that's the kind of perfect word choice and tiny detail that really smacks me in the head. And I am very honest with what I say to people, because I really want it to make sense. And I want your story to work for you in the way you want it to. Okay. Again, I'm just one person, it's just my opinion. But so I'm going to now, let's get started, okay? All right. Pull up my first. I'm so excited. All right. Our first one is from Patricia Salick. It's a picture book. Her target age range is 4 to 8 years old to 820 words. And it's called Comes with the Territory. Comes with the Territory. Everyone in the forest is scared of Fox. Fox, I'm so happy to see you, exclaims Frog when Fox approaches. I have gathered this feast of earthworms for you. Their nutrients will make your coat glow, so the next time I will see you coming. Fox replies, I can provide for myself. He eats the worms and continues on. A possum is surprised moments later when Fox appears from behind a thicket. Fox, he says, I caught Frog just for you. I'm sure you will not be disappointed. Fox replies, I can provide for myself. He eats Frog. Later that evening, as he is exploring his kingdom, Fox notices another fox sneaking around. He wonders how long this fox has been observing him. He decides to get a closer look. As Fox is sneaking, he startles Rabbit, who cries out, I have a gift for you, dear Fox. Please take these berries that I have gathered. They are as sweet as you are. Fox replies, I can provide for myself. He eats the berries and continues on. Soon after, Fox spies Raccoon. Hello, Fox, squeaks Raccoon. You have arrived just in time for Rabbit. She should satisfy your hunger. Fox replies, I can provide for myself. He eats Rabbit and continues to look for the fox. Then he hears a call. Was it the ow of a male fox, or was it woo, the call of a vixen? Fox is not sure. He gets closer. The fox is young, but the narrow face gives her away. He decides she is most definitely a vixen. I have everything I want except a companion, says Fox. I will make Vixen my queen. We will rule this territory together. Fox licks his paws and brushes his ears. When he feels he is looking his best, he struts over to meet his guest. Fox hears a low growl and sees that teeth have been bared. In a calm voice, he says, "Do not fear me. I will make you my queen, so together we can rule my territory. Come with me. I will show you all that I can provide." Fox guides his guest through his territory. "Great to see you, Fox," exclaims Shrew when the two foxes approach. "I have gathered these grasses for you. They will help with those digestive problems you've been having." Fox replies, "I can provide for myself." Fox and his guests continue on. Moments later, "Fox," exclaims Badger, I have caught Shrew for you." Whoops, hold on. Whoops, I just messed something up. Oh, here we go. "I have caught Shrew for you. She is not as smelly as the others." Fox replies, "I can provide for myself." Fox and his guest continue on. When they reach the edge of his territory, Fox lowers his head and says, "I have nothing left to offer. I have never had to hunt. My meals have always been offerings, but I'm a good provider. You will see." Fox chases after Badger, and when he has her cornered, he says, "Excuse me, Badger, but I must provide if I am to have a family. Could I offer you to my guest?" "Offer me?" repeats Badger. "To your guest?" "Yes," replies Fox. "I want to provide for her, so she will agree to be my queen, and together we can rule my territory." Badger replies, "Dear Fox, I would love to be your offering, but I'm afraid that will not satisfy your guest." "What would satisfy my guest?" asks the fox. "I am eager to please." "Only having you gone," replies Badger, "and having all your territory to yourself." "You are mistaken," Fox replies to Badger. "She needs me to provide." While Fox is speaking with Badger, Vixen sneaks across the meadow. When neither is looking, she attacks. When she is finished with Badger, Fox says to her, "As you can see, my territory is bursting with delicious things to eat. You will be my queen, and together we will rule my territory." Vixen replies, "I can provide for myself." And she eats Fox. The territory is now hers, and she hunts down a possum and raccoon. Then she hunts squirrel, vole, hare, rat, and mouse. When she's finished with them, she is still hungry, but there are no animals left to eat. She has overhunted. As time passes, she grows weaker from her hunger, and the forest grows quiet and still. Some time later, two owls land on a branch above where Vixen is lying. Owl says to Owl, "I have gathered these worms to eat. I have far too many. Please join me." Owl eyes Vixen and replies, "I can provide for myself." Fox facts. Foxes are mammals. A female is called a vixen, and her babies are called cubs. Foxes live in burrows. They are omnivores. They eat rabbits, rodents, birds, frogs, earthworms, and berries. Foxes rely on camouflage for defense. Their fur color may match their environment. They are hunters and known for being clever. Okay. I hope you guys aren't hungry because, no, I'm kidding. All right. First of all, let's talk about your age target range. And a number of you have the same target age range. So I will say this hopefully just once, but 4 to 8 years old is way too wide of a spread. It's rather broad. If you think about a 4-year-old's in pre-K and maybe kindergarten, and an 8-year-old is in 3rd grade and reading chapter books. So that's a little bit of research for you to do to find out who your true target audience is. 820 words is very, very, very long for a picture book, believe it or not. The picture books are really short these days. Used to be, a long time ago, they were much longer. So if you go and look at an old picture book as a mentor text, a text that will teach you something, you might find something that has more words. But nowadays, 500 words for a fiction picture book. And this is a fictional picture book. So I do suggest that you take out that stuff at the end about foxes, because they don't talk, right? So this is definitely fiction. And so that's just my roll up to what I'm going to say here. Now, I love fables, and this is very fable-like, and I really think that you are on to something here. I don't think you're there yet, Patricia, but you are on to something, and so I want you to keep up with this, but I do want you to change a bunch of stuff. And some of the things I want you to change, I want you to be aware of is, for example, you set up a pattern and then you don't follow the pattern that you set up, and you set up an expectation when you set up a pattern, right? So first you have frog offers worms, then a possum offers frog. And then I expected someone to offer up a possum, right? And then someone to offer up that guy, and so on. But you have frog offers worms, then a possum offers frog, then rabbit offers berries, then raccoon offers rabbit, shrew offers grasses, badger offers shrew. So there's no rhyme or reason for these offerings. And I'd like to see a different connection or a different pattern. There are many fables that will tell of animals tricking the one that they're afraid of, things like that. And so if you do want to keep this fabulistic kind of feeling to it, which is cool, I think that that you might want to do a lot of reading of fables, old fables. And I do also love stories that circle around. And at the end, you have the owls doing, saying what the fox said. But I'm going to get a little deeper into that. Okay, so it circles around. And this is a cool way to do it because you have, it passes on, but you do need to massage a story to get rid of at least 320 words, okay? I really want you to cut it to 320. And I know that you had trouble because I think it was you who said you wanted to send something out was longer. So good. Now you need to cut more. It's not just me. But I think you have a lot of unnecessary stuff blocking you from a really clean, tight story. And I'm betting that you have, that Aesop's tale kind of feeling, that ringing in your ears, maybe you've read it and stuff. Now, I want you to ask yourself what's really necessary for this story to take place. What do you really need? Who's your main character? Is it the other animals in the story, or is it Fox, or is it the owls at the end? I mean, you've got a lot going on, and you start with the animals who are in fear for their lives, which turns out they have a right to be. Motivation is important. It can set pacing in a story. So what does your main character want? Maybe all the animals are going to bond together and be like, we need to get rid of this fox. Okay, let's fix him up with this other vixen that we've seen around or something. If your main character wants something and is going for it, and you raise the stakes as you go along, people are going to keep turning the page. Your reader's going to keep wanting to turn the page, right? And I have a mentor text to a few to recommend, and that's the I Want My Hat, the Hat series by John Klassen. Because right when you open the book, first of all, they are hella funny, so funny and very dark. Now, this is a very dark and kind of brutal story, right? I mean, all your people get eaten. So, so I think you should definitely read that, because that a lot of people had a problem with the Hat series. And basically it starts off with this giant bear saying, I lost my hat, I want it back. And then all the animals, he goes one animal to the next and says, have you seen my hat? No, I have not seen your hat. Thank you. No problem. And he goes on to the next one. And then he talks to this, I think it's a rabbit. And he's like, have you seen my hat? And the rabbit's, hiding the hat very visibly behind his back. And at the end, the bear has his hat, and the rabbit's nowhere to be seen. And he's obviously eaten or killed the rabbit, but he doesn't say that, it's just what happens, and you're kind of aware of it. So I want you to watch out for your telling. SDT stands for show, don't tell. And that means that if you say everyone in the forest is scared of fox, that is telling us, let's see them be scared. Fox, came into the clearing, they all disappeared. They all hid under the leaves. The leaves were shaking. Basically, telling is Johnny was angry, and showing is Johnny stomped out of the room and slammed the door behind him. So you see the difference, and it will make it much more exciting. So the next thing I don't understand. Like all of a sudden, a frog comes and says, "Hey, here I've got worms for you." He's got all these reasons why he was making his why he was doing it. It's going to make your coat beautiful, and I'll see you coming next time. But the rest of again with the pattern, the rest of the animals don't say this. So I want the offerings to mean something, and the connections, and then also. Here is, so since you need to cut it to 500 words, I want you to be much stricter with what you're going to include. So you don't need a lot of the descriptions and the extra words. You've got a lot of extra verbiage. I have gathered this feast of earthworms for you. You can just have, all you have to have is Fox says frogs, here's an earthworm feast for you. And that makes 38 words go down to 9. And so that's a big difference, right? And remember, an illustrator will be relating the fox's fear through the visuals. So you want to leave space for your illustrator. The other problem I had, and this is so easily fixed, you could totally do this. Every time Fox is offered something, he says, I can provide for myself, but then he takes it, right? Which doesn't make sense. Like if he's too proud and he doesn't, I understand at the end, he doesn't actually know how to hunt, but I think that you don't need to really, it popped out at me when he's eating the things he's offered after he's just said, get lost, Jack, I can provide for myself, right? And you have a few punctuation issues that I want you to look at, about possessive apostrophes and commas and stuff. I've put it in there. We don't need to go into it with everybody here, but I marked it in your annotated critique. So we get down to the part where he's trying to figure out if it's a vixen or a male fox. And I felt like you don't need to go into that either. I'm assuming that animals know when they're in heat and they're looking for a mate, and the guys find the females, and so I don't think you need to go into all that explanation about that. Then you have this sort of like anti-Me Too thing where he's like, I'm going to have a companion. I'm going to make you my queen, and you're going to live in my territory, and we'll rule it. So I felt like it was kind of opposite of what's happening now, which is, he was, of course, she eats him in the end. So she gets her payback. But I just felt like that we don't have her personality enough. We don't know who she is. She barely talks. She's like, doesn't even have a conversation with her, really. He just says, does she eat the shrew or the badger or something? And then all of a sudden he's ashamed because he has nothing left to offer, but he never offered her anything in the first place, right? He just said, you're going to be my queen and we're going to rule this territory. So, and then he says, but I am a good provider, but there's no basis for him to say that. So there's a lot of things that I think that once you start to look at it this way, if you can make the story much easier, like with step 1, step 2, step 3, that'll be great. And he says, here, let's see. Oh, and then the conversation with Badger, can I offer you to my guest? I don't think you need that either, because it doesn't feel true to the story. He's being offered things, and I think that you can get rid of that part too. I think it just clogs up your storytelling. So then the last bit of this, the last comment I'm going to make on this is that she now has the territory. She eats all the animals, even animals that new characters that we hadn't seen before, which also I think you need to deal with. also, we don't know how is it his kingdom, but she never leaves. It's like animals go and find their food. And even though this is a made up story, you do need to follow somewhat. You have to set up your rules and then follow them. So if she's the kind of animal that's going to kill and eat another animal, then she would go and find more animals to eat, right? If she was the kind of animal that has other animals over for tea, then yes, I would believe that she would grow weaker from hunger because then there's no more food around or something. But I didn't really believe that she would not just go and find more food somewhere when she's hungry. And the last part with the owls, even though I really like it moving on like that, I think, owl says to owl, they don't have names, so they're both calling owl, and I think that could be a little confusing to kids. And I love the twist and the circular, but I just think you need to do a little bit more work. I would love to see it again. And as I said before, it's not fiction, so you don't need facts in this. If it were a nonfiction, we would want that. So I will take care of this weird formatting issue that happened, and then I'll send it to you. Okay. All right. Next we have, and let's hope this one, I hope this is, I rebooted and there was a new update, which I didn't know was going to happen when I rebooted. And I'm really worried that that was the problem there. I had to change something. All right. Next we have Marjorie David. And Marjorie also is 4 to 8. So she gets my same comment on that. 372 words. And it's called Dancing on a Moonbeam. Let me just make sure, Kelly, I assume Kelly has the text up now because I don't see it. I had to have the text up for me. In the dark of the night, Brandon slept, but not well. Meanwhile, across outer space, Moonbeam streaked for a play date with Brandon, but his window was dark. Moonbeam slipped between the curtains, crossed the floor, and up the side of the bed. Brandon's eyes opened as Moonbeam's light slid over. "Hello, Moonbeam," he whispered. "How did you get here?" He spied the window. "Oh," he said, "you peeked between the curtains. Smart." "I'm not feeling good. I can't play," said Brandon, "but you can stay if you are very quiet." Moonbeam waggled. Brandon chuckled and coughed. Moonbeam lit up. On the wall, its beam narrowed and moved side to side, round and round. "Are you drawing?" asked Brandon. Moonbeam zigged and zagged. Brandon guessed each picture. A bird, the sun, a car, my bike. At the next one, Brandon frowned. Moonbeam drew it again and again. Brandon shook his head and rubbed his eyes. He coughed. One finger followed Moonbeam's path. Then he sighed. "I know, a star." Moonbeam went in circles. "You are good, Moonbeam." Moonbeam stroked Brandon's hand. Brandon watched. "Thank you, Moonbeam. I'm happy you came. Your light feels cool." Brandon turned and listened. "Do you hear night music?" Moonbeam's light swayed. Brandon's head bobbed. Moonbeam's light glowed on the floor, and Brandon asked, "Would you like to see my dance moves?" Moonbeam spread a wider band. Brandon rubbed his face and pushed the bed covers aside. His feet slid toward the floor, but he held on to the bed. "I haven't danced in a while. Don't laugh." The music grew louder. Moonbeams surrounded Brandon's body. Together they moved as one, dancing between the star sparkles. Moondust swirled around them. Shadows skittered out of their way. Brandon showed his moves. Then he slowed and stopped. "I am tired," he said. Moonbeam lit his way to bed. The covers rose and fell. Moonbeam's light slid over him. "Thanks for coming. Please come back," Brandon whispered. "I need sleep." His eyes closed. Back through the curtain, Moonbeam slipped into the night. Around the window, a smile spread before fading across the universe. Plans may change, but friends make it okay. Okay. Now, I love this idea overall. It's very sweet and gentle to have a child play with a moonbeam. It's cute. It's really sweet. the conversation is pretty literal, however, for a very imaginative idea. The light dancing on the wall is not unexpected, but a kid speaking to a moonbeam is. So I kept reading this and I was wondering, something felt off with like the relationship. And I was started to think like it would be really cool if this could be all about Brandon's imagination. And part of me feels like you might have been basing this on a child that you know, maybe somebody who was sick or something like that. But often people will write real stories, and even if you didn't, this is good to say. But often people will write real stories based on something a story based on something real that happened, and that does not a story make, because things that happen are basically just occurrences, and they don't have a story arc. And in this story, you need to have a little bit more tension, stakes. You need to raise the stakes. So I was thinking, well, maybe if this could be Brandon's imagination, but Moonbeam doesn't actually speak to Brandon or move around and drawing and stuff, because that I had a harder time personally buying that, because it seemed like it would be more believable if Brandon was lonely, say, and if he had been sick. I didn't really think he needed to be sick for this story. I didn't think it did anything for your story. And I thought about how he could be, instead of Moonbeam drawing things and the kid guessing, he sees the light and he's doing the action. That your main character is doing the action, where he's entertaining himself, making shadow puppets with his hands or something like that. They talk about going to outer space together, or they actually go to outer space together. There's a book about a little girl who's forced to watch her little brother, called Flora's Windy Day, I think it is. And she goes and flies through the air and saves her little brother. First, she's like, I don't want to, he's such a brat, blah, blah. And then the moon and the sun and the wind and the clouds all conspire to get the little boy. Only she becomes, then that's the stakes, right? She's going to lose her brother and also get in trouble with her parents. And she has to figure out a way to outsmart the elements to get her brother back. So those are stakes that are rising. And then the hero, the main character, she figures out a way to save the day. And that's what we always want. We want the character. And there's an arc there. She at first was like that bratty little brother, and the arc is that at the end she treasures him. So it's possible to do with an inanimate element of, I wouldn't call that weather, but the moon is not weather, but I like that Moonbeam, the idea of a moonbeam being a bridge to an adventure too, where a child comes back on it, maybe slides right into bed and to sleep, which a bedtime story, the kid always has to go to sleep at the end. There are a few things that you have in here that are not kid-like, which is a very important thing to remember. So just the phrase, like, we know Brandon's not speaking when he says in the dark, when you say in the dark of the night, Brandon slept, but not well. First of all, kids don't say I didn't sleep well, and this is kind of from his point of view, right? So you really want to make it sound like him, it can be, he tossed and turned, but still, that's still not truly kid-like. I really don't think that he needs to be sick. I think he's just, sometimes kids just don't go to sleep. They don't want to go to bed, but then he starts to play with them. He starts to, maybe he sees a shadow of his own body against the wall, and he's like, what's that mountain? And then he goes into the mountain and he climbs the mountain, and maybe these are all shadows, which would be really cool. I don't think I've ever seen a book like that. And it's kind of like Harold and the Purple Crayon, where he's drawing his own things, right? And interacting with them, but this is shadows. That's kind of cool. You're anthropomorphizing a moonbeam. And so it feels kind of like her story at the beginning more than his. I didn't know if you wanted that. I think that starting with across outer space, moonbeam streak for a play date with Brandon is more interesting than starting with how he's sleeping. So every word has to fight for their worth, right? Every word has to really deserve a place on your page. So the word meanwhile, it's just a filler word, right? It just could be starting with, moonbeam streaked for a play date, streaked across the dark sky. Outer space to me felt like the area between outer space feels beyond the moon to me. I don't know what the actual scientific definitions are, but I don't feel like the area between the moon and the earth is outer space. I think that's like our atmosphere or something. And outer space feels less light filled and farther away. So see if you can maybe find a different phrasing for that. I do like the word streaked across the sky. That was nice. So I did think that him being sick complicated the purity of the story. It's an unnecessary, detail. And then also, if he doesn't feel good, then why is then all of a sudden he's okay to dance? And I think it would be more, he says, you can stay if you're very quiet. I think it would be more realistic to say, shh, mommy will hear you, or something like that. That's more kid-like. And also the moonbeam, it's a moonbeam, so it's not going to make any noise. So you want that kind of thing to make sense. Because imagine a little kid's going to listen to this being read to him, and he'll be like, aren't moonbeams quiet? Can moonbeams talk? And I also like the idea of an imitation game. So if you had moonbeam waggled, then Brandon waggled too, and maybe it's a mirroring, and then they're playing together. You have moonbeam lit up. This is my literal side, but a moonbeam, he's already lit up moonbeam, right? So by definition, a moonbeam is lit up. So I like the idea of moonbeam offering her light, or his light, or its light, and then Brandon working with it. Again, back to the shadow puppets. I couldn't visualize some of the things you were trying, and I like that you tried this, but I think you still need to hammer at it, because moonbeam drawing, and I know a lot of times I'll be talking and you guys are thinking, yeah, but I'm thinking moonbeam is a character, like a little elf, or so. If that's what you're thinking, I'm telling you what I read and how I reacted to it. Okay. So if you are if you are really married to the idea and don't want to change it, the moonbeam is going to be doing all these things, your illustrator will have to figure that out. And that's something that you need to think about too. I like that you use exclamation points sparingly, but I didn't think that this sentence moonbeam went in circles deserved one. So that's just a small comment. The night music, do you hear night music? I didn't know what you were talking about. I want you to show us, not to tell us that. I'm not sure what they're hearing, if it's crickets or whatever. And so they dance. Okay, so he dances, don't laugh. Little kids don't care. Little kids don't know they can't dance, right? They just abandon, right? And so I don't think he would say, don't laugh. I didn't like, let's dance, moonbeam. And he'd go crazy, right? I love that idea. So let's see. And so Brandon showed his moves. That's, again, you're telling us instead of showing us. Instead of telling would be Brandon lifted his arms above his head and spun in a circle, until he was dizzy and fell down, and they, both were laughing or something. Around the window, a smile spread. That's another one of those like little weird things where I couldn't visualize it. Moonbeam drawing around and around, or a star. And this, the smile spread, I imagined the window in the middle and the smile around it. And it just wasn't syncing for me. The last line, I really hope that you cut the last line. Plans may change, but friends make it okay. It's a different kind of sound than the rest of your, a lot of your stuff, even though I'm critiquing it, it's much more lyrical than this last It's kind of heavy-handed, this last line, and show us them being friends. I don't know what plans changed. Also, it didn't seem to be connected to the story. And also, it's a little bit preachy, and nobody likes a lecture, right? The last thing I'm going to say about this story. Now, you might think I'm really weird for saying this, but this was, and my writer's block people know that I have a sensitivity to this. And there were some phrases that started as maybe one alone, it wouldn't occur to me, but there were so many of them that I started thinking, this seems a little bit ever so slightly sexual for a picture book. Things like moonbeams slipped between the curtains across the floor and up the side of the bed, and moonbeam peeking through the curtains into a child's room, and moonbeam surrounded Brandon's body, and together they moved as one, which is a very romantic kind of phrase, and moonbeams stroked Brandon's hand. Now, as I say, I may be too literal, but I think it is worth pondering. So that remember I told you about my friend Mara. She just called me. I don't know. It was weird. So I hope that helped. I'm just gonna all right. And remember we are not critiquing. Only I'm critiquing. Let's yeah. Mara Lansky says hi to my friend Mara. So I'm the only one critiquing. Remember, you guys. Some people came in later, so. All right. I'm going to go to Rosie. Rosie has a picture book. And again, I'm going to say 4 to 8, too broad a range. I am, sorry. All right. We got this up here. Yeah. Right. This one. Picture books, by the way, Rosie, you don't need to put read to me picture book because picture books are to be read. So here we go. The Tale of Three Tails. Little Juju Mouse only had half a tail. When he asked about it, father and mother told him, you lost it in a mousetrap when you were a baby. Dr. Mouse saved your life. But Juju was a very little mouse and didn't understand these things. He still looked everywhere for the other half of his tail. He was exploring tree roots on the hill near his house when he found a string. He tied the string to the end of his tail. It was so long he couldn't see the end of it. I have the longest tail in the world, he shouted to Mother. Mother was very worried. So when Juju was asleep, she carefully untied the string. It was a good thing she did, too, because the next day somebody had pulled the string out. But Juju was a very little mouse and didn't understand these things. When he woke up, he was very upset with his mother for taking away his tail. She explained and explained, but it was no use. He stomped out of the house, back to the tree roots. He found the string all rolled into a ball. He climbed to the top of it and saw a cat on the other side. But since he thought the cat was sleeping, he climbed all over the string until he found a loose end. He unraveled the string and dragged it all the way back to his home. It was next to Cat, he bragged to his parents, and I brought it here all by myself without waking her. Juju's mother grabbed the string from him and threw it far from their house. If the string belonged to Cat, we could be in serious danger, said Father. Nobody must leave the house. But Juju was very little mouse and didn't understand these things. He became sadder and sadder. By bedtime, he was sure that his parents did not love him or want him to be happy, so he decided to leave. He wrote a note that said, "Goodbye, love, Juju." His parents saw him go out. Cat saw him too. Poor Juju. Plug it in. Poor Juju froze in fright. Father jumped and squeaked to distract the cat. Cat ran after Father. Mother pulled Juju into the house. Cat pounced on Father and bit his tail off. Before Cat could drop the tail, Mother rushed to help Father back inside. Juju tried to help Mother bandage Father, but the wound was too serious. Juju, watch Father, cried Mother, and off she ran to get Dr. Mouse. But Cat still wanted a mouse, so she chased Mother all the way to the doctor's house. The doctor and Mother ran out the back way. but Cat was watching and caught Mother by the tail. Mother pulled and pulled until her tail broke off. She and Doctor hid under tree roots, bandaging her tail. They took so long that Cat gave up and went away. Dr. Mouse put Mother to bed and fixed up Father. Juju asked, "Could I be your helper, Dr. Mouse?" "Certainly, if you listen well," replied the doctor. Juju listened. He worked very hard and did his best, which was not perfect, but the best a little mouse could do. Father got better quickly, and then they helped Mother recover. His parents said they were grateful to be together, tails or no tails. Juju still wished his tail was longer. But now, although he was a very little mouse, Juju understood these things. And someday his own children would understand too, because of his tale of their 3 broken tails. So I love this title, The Tale of 3 Tails. It's fun. Also, Rosie forgot to mention 500 words. This is 624. You got a cat. So I love this tale, but having said that, what do you want this story to be about? It can't just be constructed to serve the adorableness of the title. It's the tail wagging the mouse. It felt like you thought of this great title and then you needed to have a story with it. But I have some suggestions. So I'm thinking that, first of all, I think it was Vonnegut said, every character has to want something, even if it's only a drink of water. Okay. But we know little Juju Mouse wants a tail, right? He wants a normal tail. And it seemed to me, as I started thinking about this, that your pacing isn't as snappy as it could be because Juju's thinking and plotting and not understanding, and he needs to be doing, right? For example, like, why have him climb all over the top of the string? It's a waste of words. You don't need it. So, and it slows your story down. So I'm thinking like there's a couple of things. I'm going to get to that. So it might be more fun to have him maybe just plod through life and he's not realizing he's just narrowly missing the cat each time, like one of those old cartoons where the animal is just like all the luck is following, like things are falling crashing behind him as they like walk through unscathed, because every time the cat, if he has no tail or a short tail, the cat might go but misses because the tail isn't there, right? So something like that. But maybe the entire story is all about how Juju tries all these different funny things. Like maybe he ties spaghetti to his tail. Maybe it's, all these different wiggly waggly, maybe he ties a worm to his tail, trying to get a normal sized tail. But why does he want a normal sized tail? Maybe he wants a normal sized tail because all the other kids are teasing him, all the other mice kids. And then maybe he was born with no tail, which would be a good thing for kids, because everybody's different, right? So it might be good for him to be born that way. And then, he hates it, he gets teased or something, but maybe something because he doesn't have a tail, that's what saves the day. And then he's proud of who he is. So like the cat, getting him or something. Now, and maybe he saves his bully, and that changes things too. So there's an arc right there. There's stakes, the whole works. So right now, there's some kind of heavy brutality. Also the same with the territory story that we read before. Remember, you guys, these are little kids that are going to be reading this or being read to. And having, a main character being killed and eaten is a big thing. So you have to really take care of these little readers. And, so, the kid in it lost his tail because of a mousetrap. His mother is maimed. His mother's tail breaks off. His father is so badly hurt that they can't fix him, have to get a doctor. So that's really a lot of brutality for the Say train. So I want you to consider that. You can have a lot of this stuff, off camera too, as it were. I know that you were setting something up when you wrote, it was a good thing she did too, the mother unties the string, because the next day somebody had pulled the string out. I didn't know what that meant. Because the first time somebody's reading it, they're going to read that. So you don't want to wait till later to explain that the cat pulled the string out. Okay. I always love a nice repetition. Like, they talk about I'm going to talk about the rule of three. To do things in threes is a pattern that is followed all over literature and storytelling and movies and all kinds of things. And you repeat, but Juju was a very little mouse and didn't understand these things, but I still don't think it's doing anything to move your story along. Okay. So consider that. I, you do tell us a lot without showing us. And I was hoping that maybe you could start the story with a cat and mouse chase as Juju is on yet another hunt for a tail. Or maybe, again, the kids tease him because he's always trying to find a tail, not just because he didn't have one. So this line, now this is my literal self again, but Juju's mother grabbed the string from him and threw it far from their house. And I laughed at that because how far could that be? She's a little mouse. So did she throw it in her front yard? That's as far as she could throw it from her house, right? So consider those kinds of things. Like, who are your characters? These are real people, these mice. And so, a little mouse, how far is it? Maybe she like skitters and takes it somewhere, but anyway, so then father says further down, if the string belonged to cat, we could be in serious danger. It's obvious that everybody knows the string belongs to the cat because, he already said that he got it from the cat, right? So this whole paragraph actually doesn't feel like it's working for your story. Juju was a little mouse, didn't understand. By bedtime, he was sure his parents didn't love him. I don't know what that does for your story, except for get him out of the house again. But maybe he doesn't, I didn't know, why would he think his parents didn't love him? That didn't make sense to me. And you also have to make sure your main character does the saving of the day. And in this case, the parents do it. Juju's out there in danger, and then the parents are like, hey, cat, over here. And then the mother's like, over here. And then you watch your father when he's been so badly hurt that the wound is so bad that I mother cannot even fix it. I got to go get a doctor, but take care of him, even though you're too little to understand anything. So that I didn't buy either. The biting of the tail off, yeah, kind of brutal. And let's see, I'd love to see Juju saving his parents from the cat, thanks to his non-tail, or the kids. I just prefer he be born like that, and it's his weakness until it becomes his strength. Okay, and that's his arc. Another suggestion. So let's see. The doctor, I think he's an unnecessary character. And then Juju wants to be his helper. And that seems just like you're veering off the path of your story. And also the doctor saying, if you listen well, then you can be my helper. It's a little preachy. And we try not to do that teaching a lesson thing. A bit of grammar. Juju still wished his tail was longer. It should be Juju still wished his tail were longer, because it's contrary to fact. And I love the title. I still love the title, but I don't think it's strong enough to hold up an entire story. And because at the end, it's all about the three tails, right? The tale of the three tails. And I love, love, love the name Juju. Adorable name. So that is Rosie's story. So who's you're Rosie, you were laughing so hard. What I haven't seen any of these comments, so I can't even scroll through the chat, I don't think. All right, I'll have to look at it later. This is the last one. This is, I have a great perspective. Are you saying that to me? Because I get terrified when I do these. You can ask the writer's block people. I'm always like, oh God, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But I love the stories. I think you guys can. I know that you can make them better and make them really work. And I've seen stories our writer's block people grow. Oh my gosh, they're amazing. Anyway, okay, let's read Isabel's. I don't know if she's here. She lives in Australia, so this might be. Is it Isabel? Was that you in Australia? So let's see. Wake up, Mimi. I'm going to start here. Do we have it on the screen? Okay. All right, here we go. Now I'm going to show you this. So what you're seeing is how Isabel submitted this story. And then I'm going to tell you something after we're going to show you. Okay. Wake up, Mimi. The sun is rising in the sky. Follow me. It's time to fly. Wake up, Mimi. It's time to play. The rain has stopped. Let's start the day. Let's go, Mimi. Come this way. The sun is shining. Let's hop and sway. Look up, Mimi. Over there in the sky. A rainbow is shining. Skip, shake, and fly. Down here, Mimi. Quick, hurry this way. The worms are dancing and wriggling away. Follow me, Mimi. Hop, hop, hop. Into the puddles. Jump and blop. Look at that, Mimi, in the wind up there. The dandelion seeds are blowing through the air. Zip zap, Mimi, up here on the fence. Look who's squawking. Crow is being a menace. Oh no, Mimi, Crow is back. He is eyeing your biscuits as a sneaky snack. Now over here, Mimi, trick, trot, run. Quickly, Mimi, my friends have come. Oh no, Mimi, slow down, quick, stay. You nearly caught us. You got carried away. Can you hear that, Mimi? It's time to go. Mama Wagtail is singing on the weeping willow. Bye-bye, Mimi. Sleep in the sun. I'll be back to wake you tomorrow for another fun run. I'm assuming Mimi's a dog. Now, okay, Kelly, reveal the reformatting. Dun, da, da, da. Because Isabel, it needs to be in stanzas. Even though I'm going to tell you to take it out of the rhyming scheme, it needs to. This would be how to submit a poem. Okay, and you have 2-line stanzas, but I'm gonna tell you. Now, I redid that, but you'll get the annotated copy and you'll see. All right, so this is 3 to 6, same comment, too broad a range. All right, a 3-year-old is in pre-K, right? An 8-year-old, a 6-year-old is, in first grade and reading. So that's a big difference. But 197 words, you go, girl. That is nice and tight. Very good. I want to know if you wrote this in straight up prose. If you have not, I am begging you to do that. It's a great exercise, number 1. And then you'll find out what is the story. Okay. I'm guessing that this is a dog and somebody's going with Mimi the dog. But a lot of times, more often than not, new writers will try to shoehorn a story in order to make it rhyme. And, it's common knowledge, and I'm going to tell you it's not correct knowledge. It's common knowledge that editors hate rhyming picture books. They don't hate rhyming picture books. They hate badly rhymed picture books. And it's very, very hard to rhyme well. The meter has to be dead on. You have to have true rhymes. You have to have the right rhyme scheme. You have to have your meter right. I don't even know everything about rhyme to tell you. Julie Hedlund is an amazing teacher at this. She did something. I'm also a co-founder of Picture Book Summit, and she did an incredible session on rhyme that was amazing called Verse Curse. It was crazy. I was like, oh, I know even less than I thought I did. So you find out a lot about your story when you take it out of rhyme. You have to really know your stuff to write a good story, because the story is hard to tell in rhyme. Okay. And you have simple rhymes, and they need to be a little more complex to make the story more interesting. So sky, fly, play, day, way, sway. And way, sway is not just write in prose. Okay. So once you have the story, then you can try it in rhyme. All right. And see if it works. But I have a feeling it's going to be a lot better in prose. You need your story arc. You need a character arc on a page turns and the stakes, and which is the tension. Everything a good story needs. Okay. Now, good rhyme and rhythm can accelerate pacing and make your reader want to turn the page, but because it's natural to want to finish the stanza, but it has to be why you have to know, why are you writing this particular story? Why does this particular story need to be in rhyme? Okay. You need to also work on your punctuation, because you've forgotten some conjunctions, need apostrophes, and you reused one of your rhymes, your sky and fly. You start the story with sky and fly, and then you have it again. And let's see. So way and away is more like the same word than two words that rhyme, and same there and air. There's like a lot of things there. I'm telling you, I don't know everything about rhyme. There's a true rhyme and false rhyme, and I forget what the definitions are. But you also have Yoda speak, and Yoda speak is when it's backwards. So you in a normal sentence, you would say, follow me, hop, hop, hop into the puddles, jump and blop. You would say, jump and blop into the puddles, Mimi. You wouldn't reverse it. And it's reversed in order to let you rhyme. So that's another reason. That's another example of you trying to shoehorn the story into the rhyme scheme. It's inverted and it's considered a cheat. So menace and fence are not rhyming words. And I knew you were from Australia, and I looked up online, how do Australians pronounce menace? Just in case I was going to tell you the wrong thing, but you say it just like we do, menace. So it doesn't rhyme. And the rhythm is off also. Zip, zap, meanie up here on the fence. Look who's squawking. Crow is being a menace. That's not working. So I love the idea. Dogs, everyone loves a dog story. I really want you to write this in prose, okay? So you have, oh no, Mimi, Crow is back. He's eyeing your biscuits as a sneaky snack. But snacks can't be sneaky. So maybe he, wants the snack in a sneak attack, or gets the snack in a sneak attack. Now that would be an internal rhyme, and that would work, okay? Steal the snack in a sneak attack. That's a great sentence. I never write well on the fly, but that one was good. So because you've got all the sibilants of the S's, it's alliteration with all the same, letters starting, and it's fun to say. So that you can have that line. Then we have the other comment I would have is that you say Mimi, you have Mimi in here so many times, it weighs down the lightness of the story. I said this to somebody in the writer's block the other day too. I can't remember who, I'm sorry, but it just, you're hearing it over and over again, and it starts to plug up your ears with the sound of that one word. And I don't think it's a lyrical enough word to have it in there that much, I don't know what quick stay means, so I would love to know that. And remember, if you guys aren't reading your books aloud, even if they're novels for adults, read them aloud as you are editing and revising, because especially children's books, you'll hear what is going to be heard when it's read aloud. These are meant to be read aloud. Adult books, if you're writing a murder mystery or something, you'll see errors. You'll see words you skipped and all kinds of stuff. I also did not know what a wagtail was. It turns out it's a bird. But I think it's also would be, I think Mama Wagtail is singing on the Weeping Willow should be before, can you hear that? Because you've set up the scene for the reader. And the last stanza also is off on meter. There's too many syllables for it to flow properly. But I do want you to keep writing, with a dog story is a great story, and all the fun they're having and everything. I think you could make it work. So that is, I think, all of them, right, Kelly? Oh, Mimi is your daughter's nickname? It's not a dog story. Oops. Let's see. Oh, so yeah, right. I have to tell you about, the writer's block. The writer's block is this membership I started, and twice a month I do critiques like this, not with the messed up formatting I had in the beginning, but they're good and they're fun. And I love my people. I call them neighbors. I know it's kind of goofy, and right now I just restarted it kind of, but really just kind of started it anew. You can find it at Kelly. What did I say the link was? I'm having a sale. Okay. It's going to go up. You can get the charter member price. It's pretty inexpensive for getting critiques. And yeah, katiedavis.com/WB sale, because writer's block sale, WB sale. And go check it out. My beautiful neighbors, there's some videos of some of them saying very nice things. And I hope that you join us because it's really, really fun. And we have a random drawing twice a month. And I was saying to Kelly, if I get so many people, some people aren't getting them, I'll add more days. We'll do more than twice a month. I do nonfiction, picture books, biographies. There's some people who have adult books, some adult stories, YA, everything. So I don't know how often I've had people. Debbie here still? Debbie, are you still here? Debbie's had a number of times. Madeline's had. There's Debbie. She's had a bunch of them, right, Debbie? Like what? At least a half a dozen, right? Oh, you guys are so great. We learned so much. I've improved because of Katie. You're also a really good writer, okay? And Grace says, I joined 2 months ago and it's been so world changing. I'm going to start crying now. I have learned an incredible amount, even listening to others get critiqued. I think that's really, really a really big key is how much, because when I first started, I was like, nobody's going to listen to other people. And then I saw everybody starting to learn from the other ones. Why are you asking that? Because usually that kind of stuff is sort of like my business end. My son's calling me and I'm ignoring my own son on the phone. So what do we use to get a critique if you're already a neighbor? What do you mean, Rhonda? You're a neighbor. What are you talking about? What do we use to get a critique if you're already a neighbor? I don't know what you mean. Oh yeah, Rafflecopter. It's random. But if somebody keeps trying and trying and trying, they can't get in, I do extras. I've done that before. Margaret has had a few critiques. Her third coming up. I've tightened your writing so much. Oh, thanks. I'm so glad to hear that. And Gretchen, that's right. Wow, there's a lot of you guys here tonight. It's been 3 critiques in 8 months. Good. And that also, you haven't. How many times have you actually entered the drawing? Because that's also part of it. You enter when you want. Oh my gosh, really, Debbie? You finished your first novel? Oh, I'm so excited. I hope it doesn't sound too patronizing. That is amazing. Congratulations. That's so exciting. Anyway, it's $27 a month now. It's going up to $37 a month, and that is nothing for getting live critiques. We meet. Usually we don't do it in the webinar style. We do it in the Zoom style. So we've kind of gotten to know each other. It's really fun. Yes, I heard some of it first. We all did. It's just so much fun. It's really, really great. And I love it. And I hope you guys join. I don't do contests. I have drawings for them. Everybody gets one. If you want one, you're going to get one. In the month. You haven't? Okay, but not all in 2020. Yes, that's right. That's right, Margaret. You need to play some Powerball.
So Susie asked, do you do 5 manuscripts a session?
Yes, I do. 5 people actually won a critique tonight, but one person never opened the email, and that bummed me out. But maybe we'll do this again someday. But really, I wanted to do it so that people could see what it was like, because it's a lot of fun and people learn a lot. I can't scroll up to see previous chat. Let's see if I pop it out, if that'll work. No, there's no scroll thing. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's see if there's a lot of nice things. saying, Aussies do talk like what, Bonnie? Like say menace differently? How do Aussies say menace? It doesn't rhyme with fence.
I think somebody was talking about a wagtail being a cheeky bird.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I looked it up. I mean, I did a lot of,
Yeah, you did.
yeah. I look up a lot. I looked up about the foxes. I wanted to know, do foxes eat worms and berries? So, or do owls eat worms? I didn't think owls ate worms, but apparently they do. Some do.
There you
But
go. Learn something new tonight.
because that kind of thing, you need to have that reality, even if it's a fictional book. You need to establish your rules and stick with them. If you're going to have talking animals, then some animals can't also be, well,
whatever rules you start with, you need to stick with.
To finish with. That's right.
Yeah, it's got to be a consistent world. So
right.
We have a couple of things in the Q&A. Sherry thought that the Mimi was a grandma. So
Mimi? What Mimi?
In the last story, Mimi. Yeah.
Oh, a grandma. Yeah, I kept hearing that when I was reading it, when I was critiquing it on my own. I kept thinking, Mimi sounds like a grandma, but then it didn't seem like that. But I don't know. You're welcome, Lillian. Thanks for coming. Yes, Katrina, you're right. Menace and fence don't rhyme. But I really appreciate it. Thanks, Susie. Yeah. So again, if you're interested, this price is going up on the 15th and not even in Oz. And you're welcome, Yvette. And Yvette's also one of my neighbors. There you go, katiedavis.com/WB sale.
So we do have a couple of questions here in the Q&A. Trish asks, does word count include things like art notes or a glossary at the end?
No, they don't usually. Are you talking about, wait, who asked that? Let me see. Trish, are you talking about a nonfiction book? Because there wouldn't be a glossary in a fictional book. So I just want to make sure we have that clear. And and you really, really should not have art notes unless it's something they can absolutely not visualize. For example, this is my go-to example. Say you were writing a story called The Normal Child or The Average Child or whatever, and it's about this normal kid who lives in a normal suburb and has a normal dog. Only in your mind, this is a boy who is a normal alien child and he lives in a normal alien suburb and he's got a normal alien dog. Nobody would know that. And that would make it funny, right? But nobody would know that if you didn't put in art. By the way, this is on an alien planet. And you never say that. So that's the only time. If there's something that absolutely, cannot, or if it's a historical fictional picture book and you have to say in, 1717, they weren't yet wearing petticoats, so don't draw any petticoats or whatever, something like that. All right, the next question, I hope that.
Well, the answer to the question is that art notes and glossaries or back matters are not included in your word count.
No,
when we talk about 500 words, art notes are not included in that. Back matter, glossaries are not included in that.
Right. But don't do art notes. Anyway, 500 words or less for a fictional picture book, right? Yes, there's wiggle room. There is some wiggle room, but if you're learning to write a picture book, stick to 500 because you're going to do a better job. You're going to be tighter. You're going to be much stricter on your own self, going like, yeah, do I really need that extra, meanwhile, or whatever word you're putting down? You're going to be like, this does not add to the story. Ask that. My friend Emma says, make every single word go on trial for its life. So that's good. So Grace says, what age do kids start reading non-picture books? I remember asking Mrs. Lee, our librarian in elementary school, why are there no pictures in these books now that I'm in third grade? But they have them now. So and now that graphic novels are respected, finally they, they're later and later. I mean, it's not as much a thing as.
I think it depends on the kids and the class too. You can have first graders that are reading some chapter books, but also reading picture books. It just kind of depends on where they're at. And they probably read different things at school than they do at home. That kind of thing. And then like we were talking about the age range and somebody was asking, well, eight-year-olds can read picture books, and they can, but they're different concepts, right? Like a lot of your historical picture book biographies will be read by your older age range there that maybe a 4-year-old wouldn't be interested in. So got to keep those things in.
And also nonfiction can go longer because you have back matter and side panels and stuff. You're welcome, Sitha. Thank you for coming. Patricia, you thought that the cutoff for picture books was 800 words. Maybe it was at one point. I mean, things change, I mean, maybe in a few years it'll evolve back to longer picture books. I don't know, but right now, stick to 500.
Fiction. You're nonfiction, probably 800 words. But again, it's making sure every word is there, has a purpose.
Thank you, Nicole. That's funny. All right. Okay. So somebody whose name I'm not even going to try. No, I'm going to try. Inexjkukla. I don't know how to say that. It's INXJKOUKLA. And in rhyming picture books, do you have to show and not tell, like in prose? Yeah, all writing. All writing. It's just, it makes it more interesting to read. You don't want to be told everything. Yep. Okay, what is your real name in Jixkukla? That's not fair to do that to me. That's just mean. So let's see. All right, so if you're interested, again, Maria. You big cheater, Maria. That's much easier to say. That's funny. All right. Well, I hope you guys go, and because it's really fun. The private Facebook group. Oh, sorry, Janet. Well, you'll get it if you come into the writer's block. So, by the way, it's month to month. So if you come in for a month and you don't like it, you can you can go. No hard feelings.
And there's a raffle copter open in there right now for the block party at the end of the month.
That's right. Yeah. So, and I set it up, and there's, it's great. I love it. I really love it. And, I have so much fun. You can tell, and I'm not. You're welcome, Nick.
I will tell you one thing though. This will, you'll never watch movies and read books the same way again, because you'll always have Katie's voice in the back of your head going, could that really happen? Would he really do that? That's not what birds do.
That's not the character. Yeah, it's true. I feel like I should maybe re-record the first one, because I don't know what happened. I couldn't see any of my notes. They were so little.
Well, we'll take a look at the replay, and then we can decide if we need to do that or not.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
All right.
Do you guys have any other questions before we close this down? Isn't WandaVision so weird and cool? WandaVision, very cool. I like it. Very cool. I love it too, Debbie. Yeah, of course you would love it, Debbie.
It's right up Debbie's alley.
Yeah, right up your alley.
Awesome.
All right. Yeah, it's weird. You guys, we got some more questions. What's my favorite rhyming picture book author?
Oh boy.
That is not a nice thing to ask me. I have a lot.
Okay, well, you think of an answer. Yeah. I'm going to answer Grace's question, and it's, what if you are a bad illustrator? Well, Grace, I have good news for you. You do not have to be an illustrator to be a picture book author. So just tuck that away in your pocket. Let that just come off your shoulders. You don't have to carry that weight anymore. Because editors will buy a text that they love and then pair it with an illustrator that they love.
It's their job to pair it with the right illustrator. I have a friend who wrote a book, and she thought it was sort of a serious book. It was about like a like haircut day or something at school a long time ago. And the illustrator they chose was this very kind of cartoony, funny illustrator. And it brought a whole other level to the book. And she said, I never imagined it like this. This is amazing. And she loved it. It was so much better because the illustrator brings that. And that's what, when we say like bring, leave room for your illustrator. Wait, so Trish, some agents seem to prefer author illustrators. No, there's plenty who don't. And Kelly knows this better than I do because she deals with more agents. But I don't think there are more people who are solely authors, solely
There,
writers.
well, there are agents who are looking for author illustrators, right? But
Yeah.
every agent is different, and they're all at various stages of their careers. So you might have ones that are looking to add more people to their list, and some of their requests are more broad. And then you have others who are like, oh, I'm kind of missing this type of genre, this type of author, this type of creator, we're looking to fit a certain spot. So it really just depends, and you have to do your research. And if you have agents that are only looking for author illustrators and you're not an illustrator, then that's easy. They're not a good fit for you, and you move on to the next one, because it's a lot like dating. You're trying to find the right one.
I just want to say, Katrina's saying the time wouldn't work for her. There's replays of everything. And if we have a member who cannot, like we have a member who's in Israel and she comes to some, late at night when they're during the day. And if there are people, if I have people in Australia and Israel and other places, I would definitely be willing to try it occasionally, not every weekend or anything, but like doing it early.
Well, but that's why we have one that's in the afternoon and one that's in the evening, because we know that people have different schedules, and some people work during the day and can't make the afternoon, but they can make an evening. And some people, whatever. We all have different.
there's no pleasing everybody, so I try to move it around. And it's just me. Okay, so it's not like you're dealing with a corporation. You could say, hey, can you do one? And this is, so I'm very open to being there for the people, because I want to keep doing this. I have a lot of fun doing it.
Okay, did you figure out your favorite rhyming picture book author, Katie?
Kelly, I thought you might forget. Stop.
No.
I'm not thinking of that. I'm very bad at thinking of names on the spot. That's why I'm bad at writing on the spot. But that line I came up with was very good.
That was really good. I'm glad we got it on tape.
Yeah. I never do well when I'm giving everybody an example. I'm like, yeah, that's a terrible example, but yeah. What about good night?
Let's see. Maria was saying, I'm looking to reference how to show versus tell in a rhyming picture book. So it doesn't have to be your favorite author, just someone who does that well. Okay, yeah. Well, I'm going to speak for Katie, and she's going to need to sleep on that. So yeah. We'll be sending the replay out. So maybe that's something that we could put in the replay. One place to start is that Betsy Bird does a lot of book lists at the end of the year. So if you go to some of her December posts, I'll bet you'll find a list of rhyming picture books, right. Or, and that would give you a good place to start searching for those, and who does it and who does it well.
I'm blanking on the person's name. I'm like, it's like you introduced, this is my husband. His name is, this is my mom. Her name is, in the spotlight. I'm like, so I hope I don't wreck Tammy. Yeah, Tammy's good. Yeah. You know what?
Oh yeah, Tammy
Dr. Seuss is not my favorite. There are some favorites from childhood, but there are more clever ones, I feel now. I know that's sacrilege to say. So Anjali, I hope I said your name right. How acceptable are dark stories in general? Well, it depends on how it's handled. Like the Hat series. Go and read John Klassen's Hat series. They are hysterical. Yes, he got some flack, but he also got awards. So he actually got the Geisel Humor Award, Geisel being Dr. Seuss. And, very, very funny books, and deeply dark. The animals die,
I think for that, you would want to look up subversive picture books.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of the dark picture books are called.
Yeah.
But think about when you're writing that, the illustrations, right? Like I was thinking when we talked about the cat attacking the mom, like how would that be illustrated?
Yeah.
And I think like with I Want My Hat Back is, again, some of that action takes place off screen.
And that's what makes it,
yeah,
palatable and okay for kids.
Yeah.
And, and the way he handles it is he's deft. Okay. He's deft.
Right.
All right, you guys, I thank you. I hope I'm going to see you as a neighbor in the writer's block. We have our next, I'd have to look at my calendar, but if you join, you'll be able to come and see how everything works, kind of like this.
Yeah. On Friday.
On Friday, that's right. Friday, 1 p.m.
Yes.
Yep.
And you could still get into the raffle copter for the one at the end of the month, which will be 2 weeks
we also
away.
do something called, what did I name it? Neighborhood Playground, Writer's Playground. I can't remember. It's pretty new. And we talk about whatever we want to talk about. I do a lesson, or I would do maybe an expanded thing, or maybe on rhyming picture books, or maybe I do talk about, for example, the up in the air example, like talk about things like that, lines that change meaning and things like that. Yes, Sue Fleiss is good too. There's a lot of people.
There are a lot of people.
And I
hard to think of anybody's name though when somebody asks you on the spot.
I know I'm so bad at that. I can never think of a title. I can never think of actors' names. I had to write down George Clooney's name, believe it or not. Of all people, I would have to write that down. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Go check out, katiedavis.com/WB sale. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
You're welcome.